Now, it is a quintessentially British tradition, the afternoon tea. And if you think people are getting tired of it, well, think again. In fact, some of London's top restaurants have a waiting list which can go up to 3 months for tea tasting. Now, it is quite an expensive treat too, costing anything up to $90 a head. Our food critic, Richard Vines, and chef Gizzi Erskine went in search of the ultimate place to take tea in the British capital.
Overall, what's your impression?
Well, taking everything into consideration, I think that the room's beautiful. It is the most classic tea you can think of. It's very English. The cakes are sort of pushing boundaries a little bit, but it's £39, so I think that's quite expensive, and with a 3-month waiting list. So, while I would like to give it top marks, I think I'm going to give it about an 8 out of 10.
What do you think of the selection, or the sandwiches first?
Well, to begin with, immediately, you know the sort of whole eating with your eyes thing? There's so much to look at. It looks beautiful. It's creative, you know. Even with regards to the sandwiches, and, you know, as much as I love a classic sandwich, I'm just intrigued. I mean, what we have here is pastrami with sauerkraut and a quail's egg. I mean, that's ingenious. OK, we'll see about that. But then you've also got your British classics. You've got your coronation chicken here, which is superb, and then a poached salmon, which is just fantastic. So, and duck egg mayonnaise, hello, that's ingenious. I'm so excited. I don't know about you, and I don't know if it's kind of the girl in me coming out, but first of all, I'm surrounded by stripes, which immediately brings a smile to my face.
I like Paul Smith a lot, so I'm happy with that.
It feels stylish, and I know this is the whole point in this tea, because it's based around fashion. It has to be the most stylish tea I think I've ever seen. It's an ingenious concept. You've got biscuits and cakes in the shape of handbags are inspired by collections, so...
What more could you want?
As a girl, I'm like, oh my God, and I recognise those clogs from Chanel, and I recognise, you know, the bag from Anna Hindmark, and I'm just dying to try it all. And the fact that you actually, in the savoury section, you don't just get sandwiches,
yes,
which I will say, not looking as exciting as we have seen. But this is exciting, and it adds a different sort of twist as well.
Do you think for a woman coming to London particularly, it's so unusual, right? It's not what you're expecting.
Well, I think that there's a whole load of women that come to London and want to shop. And in this area, you have Harrods, you have Harvey Nichols, and you've probably done a bit of shopping in the morning. Come here and you can sort of have that sort of inspiration of what we've been doing in the morning on your plate. I mean, how ingenious is that? I have a Darjeeling, and this one's is at the second flush, so it's actually a bit stronger, a bit punchier, a bit earthier, they're saying. So but you drink it as normal tea, a bit of milk, tiny bit of sugar for me, and it smells phenomenal, actually. Come on, have a sniff. That smells like...
It smells like tea.
A good cup of tea. A bit more aromatic, but definitely tea-like.
Well, after all that tea drinking, Richard joins me now. Richard, is it true that tourists do come to London and partake of afternoon tea?
People love it. They come from all over the world, particularly the United States. I think people associate it with British tradition because we've been doing afternoon tea for 150 years. So the waiting list, as you mentioned, is 3 months normally for the Ritz, can be 5 months.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? You might think that it's something that people would be getting tired of by now, that it's a little bit passé and old-fashioned, but clearly not.
I think quite the contrary. People don't do it at home in England now, but perhaps because they don't do it at home, they're even more keen to do it when they go out. And of course, for foreigners, it's not something other countries have.
But it's not cheap, though, is it?
It's £39 it starts at the Ritz. It's £59 if you have champagne, and can go up to 60 or 70 if you really push the boat out.
Right. So, where, out of all those places, what's your top tip then for a fantastic classic British afternoon tea in London? Where would you go?
Well, for the classic, I would go to the Ritz. I think you have to. That is now the home of the afternoon tea in London. I personally preferred the Berkeley because the fashion tea was fun, and next week's London Fashion Week, starting a week today, in fact. So that would be my pick if I had to choose one. Great.
And what about restaurants in London at the moment? What's happening on the restaurant scene?
Well, they're very busy at the moment. A place called Polpetto has opened in Soho, and can be a 2-hour wait for a table there. It's really busy, and some other openings. Bar Baloo I was in the other day, about 150 in there for lunch on Monday.
Fantastic.
Busy as ever.
Richard, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Thank you.